gentlemen, this is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today we are thinking about spirit guides, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, spirit guides. That is the topic, and that is the thinker that we are thinking about. And I brought back Lauri on my show because I had such a great time speaking with her the first time. How could I not bring her back, right? So, with from talking about radical self-care to now thinking about spirit guides, let's really get to it, Lori. When you think about spirit guides, what does that make you think about?
So much.
Mm,
But the main thing I think about is if everyone knew the type of support they had on the other side and were able to utilize that support, we would be living in a very, very different world.
oh my goodness. Whew, girl. Air five. If anybody can get anything out of this conversation, get that right there because there is really so much support and so much guidance that people are just missing because they are so stuck at a surface level of living that it's kind of hard to actually allow yourself to get deep within and know what's going on around you. You know what I mean? So I have to ask you, when did you come to this realization that you were connecting with your spirit guides or that you even had any?
I come from a lineage of people who are psychics and mediums. And I knew my first memory was in preschool of playing on, and it's so vivid, on the playground with other kids. And at the time, I didn't realize it, but they were spirit children. And I got into the car. My mom picked me up, and I got into the car, and she was crying. And I asked her why she was crying, and she said, because every time I pick you up, you're always playing by yourself.
Hmm.
And that was like the first moment that I thought I
This,
didn't understand, right? And then as I got older, it wasn't something that was supported. My mom was afraid of it.
mm,
And her mom, people would come from all over to get their tea leaves read, but she thought she was cursed because she knew when people would die.
oh, that's so
So
sad.
it wasn't supported. So I blocked it for a really long time
Hmm.
until probably late, early 30s. And I just wham, and it all came back. And I've
Yeah.
been on this journey of what do I do with it?
Right, right.
And
That's exactly what it is. It's like, what do you do with
what do
it
you
now
do
that
with
you
this?
have it?
I talk to people on the other side. I see people who've crossed. I I'm clairvoyant, audient, and sentient. And I always used it in my coaching and in the background. I never really put it out front.
Hmm.
And then these last couple of years, and I've been circling around this for decades, my guides, it just was like, you have to put this out front. It's time. You have to put it out front. I rebranded. And what I just said to you, I was sitting at my kitchen sink, standing at my kitchen sink, looking out the view of the mountains. And that's what I thought. I thought if everybody knew how that the support of their spirit guides and how to utilize it, we'd live in a very different world.
Mm.
And I heard teach it. So I
Lori.
created a free course that I'll give your listeners a link to connect
Yeah.
because it's they're always trying to get our attention.
Oh, absolutely.
Always.
Absolutely. And it's
But
I love this. You know what I mean? I love this because everything that you're saying is low key, is my same journey. You know what I mean? Like
I think it's a lot of
I
our
am
journey.
Yeah, I am very similar where you are at. I just don't I'm not at the point of owning up to it. I don't wanna label it, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I just allow myself to just say, "I'm very spiritually inclined, in tune, whatever," you know what I mean? Emotionally in tune, I'm visually in tune, you know what I mean? I just say that just to keep my heart I don't know, away from the taboos of those labels, you know what I mean?
right. Yeah, I
Because that's what it
totally.
is. That's what it is, but my oh my goodness, how my spirit has been like, "Mitzi, you just gotta own it." You know what I mean? You just gotta
Own
own it
it.
and step
Yeah.
into it. And so every time you were like it got to a point where they were like, "Hello, Lauri, it is happening." You know what I mean? Like mine
I
has been
know.
doing that for years now, and I'm just like, "Oh," so like having this conversation with you is low-key me with like announcing it too. Like, "Oh my goodness, I'm coming out, you guys."
Coming out. There's so much freedom.
Oh,
My
it is.
website went live on the 19th of February.
Mhm.
And yeah, there's just so much freedom in it just saying it because we need it right now.
We really do. We really do. And it breaks my heart that your mother felt like it was a curse because of knowing death.
It breaks my
Because
heart.
that is something that I have knowledge of. And at first I was very confused with it. I was conflicted with it. I was like, oh my goodness, you know what I mean? The burden, because nobody understands about
Yeah,
death because they already have a problem accepting that. So when you've come across somebody like us that they know it, they've accepted it, and they have a different like perspective of it.
yeah,
And I'm just open to like so I told people how many years they've had left and they one got extremely pissed off at me and the other one was like, "Oh no, I thought I still had more time." And then I'm just like it comes down to you, you know what I mean? It comes down to your perspective. It's a reality check. The reality check, if you don't like what you're doing, change it. This is for
mhm,
you to connect with your spirit, you know what I mean? To connect with you. And one thing I've learned is that it allowed me to love the people in my life that I know that there's a time limit coming up sooner than later. You know what I mean? And I think that is something that I've spoken with another person that's like us who she didn't see it like that. She was just like, yeah, it was just something really nice. But then when I was like, yeah, but it allows you to love them in such a way that it's like you're the last one to love that person. So wouldn't you want to give them your all? And she was just like, huh, you're right, I should. And then it's like that's what I've been doing. You know what I mean? It's like you have to love the people that you know are gonna go because when it's time, that's a different life, a different section, another chapter. You know what I mean? To deal with. But it's like, oh,
yeah.
you know
And
what I mean? But it's just it's different. I don't know. God.
it's a transition. They never really
Yeah,
leave. And
exactly. They
I
never
don't know when
do.
people are going to pass. That's not part of my gift. Um, but it's all a gift. We have them for a reason.
We do.
And I feel like everybody has these gifts. It's just remembering them. Everybody is clairsentient.
Mhm.
Everybody has
It's just
that.
in tuning yourself, and then you'll figure
Yeah.
out what actually you are spiritually inclined to know. You know what I mean? What you spiritually just comes naturally to you. And it's just and people actually are know like, "Oh, I just am naturally like this," or "This is just naturally comes to me." Well, that's part of that. You know what I mean? That's part of the guidance in your life that you should just follow. And what do you say to those people who are just going against the grain when it comes to this?
I say when it gets hard, stop.
Mm.
Because culturally we're taught if it's worth doing, it's going to be hard. Like if it's good, it's going to be hard. But when you're aligned and you're in flow and you're on purpose and the timing is right, it's, I'm not going to say it's easy because easy is with little or no effort,
Yeah.
but there is an ease to it. The
Mm.
synchronicities flow and it just lines up. We've all had moments where it just lines up for us. And it's like one synchronicity after another.
Yeah.
And there's an ease to it. So when there's an ease to it, I know I'm aligned and I'm on the right track. When it starts getting hard, I have to stop and look at it and like, okay, am I pushing this? Am
Mhm.
I, because we have to trust in divine timing.
Yeah.
And when we work with our spirit guides, we all have at least one spirit guide that's with us our whole life.
Mhm,
And then we have guides that can come in for different purposes,
mhm.
but they cannot cross our free will. They can try to get our attention, but we have to invite them in.
There you go.
And
There
that's
you
the
go.
key
Mhm.
is we have to invite them in. And you don't need to know their name. You know, you don't need to know who they are. Just invite your team in every morning. I wake up. I know who some of my team are, and some I don't know their name. I don't know exactly who they are, but
Mm,
I call them in and I call them in every morning to support me in whatever I'm doing that day. I call them in to support the work that's wanting to come through me so that it can come through me and serve the people that I'm here to serve,
mm.
who are
There you
wanting
go.
the work that is coming through me. And, so we can call them in, but then we need to be really aware. What is showing up?
Yeah,
Get
exactly.
curious.
Exactly. It's that self-awareness, that discernment, being aware of our environment, being aware and having that observation. That is one thing that I was always taught as a child. Pay attention. Pay attention because you never know what's happening. Because what's happening in front of you, there's always something behind that's always happening as well. So it's like that my family always taught me to just always pay attention, be observant, listen. You know what I mean? Having that understanding because having that at a growing up really helps you when you're in situations that are messy and loud and going around you. You know what I mean? When those chaotic moments, you're able to still be stable, center yourself and see what the situation is for what it is and not panic. You know what I mean? Because come on, right now we're living in a world where everyone's panicking. You know what I mean? They've been panicking for years if you really think about it. You know what I mean? I don't think it's ever been turned off because people are just in survival mode at this point. So it's just
And
it's
building.
really yeah, it's really we really need to break that down, come level-headed and just really get with the now. So when we are back in our present moment, we can receive what's around us. We can receive what's telling us to do in the moment, to do for the future, to prepare for somebody else. You know what I mean? Just to serve in our now. And I think that is lovely when you said to serve because man, not a lot of people understand that our purpose is not for ourselves, but it's for others. You know what I mean? And once we allow ourselves to take away us in front of ourselves all the time, putting us in front, like we will finally be able to step in our true purpose of just being who we are, our whole, you know what I mean? Our wholeness. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, because when we're on purpose and we're serving, it's log, it's reciprocal.
Yeah, reciprocal. Yeah, right.
So if you're doing the work and you're on purpose, you're going to be rewarded abundantly for that work.
No, that's true.
So it is about you a little bit, right? But it's a different mindset. It's not to get, it's to serve, and then knowing and trusting you'll be rewarded for that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's so great. So I guess I have to ask you. I know you said earlier about how it was in your 30s when you were like, yes, let me step into this. What was that moment for you?
It was a hard moment
Yeah.
because I was going down the wrong path. I was checking all the boxes. And uh, I went through a divorce. I lost a child at birth. I went through a divorce and then I moved.
Yeah, that's
So
a lot.
it was a huge um, wake up call.
Mm,
That it was a huge catalyst in my life that something had to change. And I
mm.
was, 33. I'm 60 now. So that was a while ago.
Stop it. Let me just say, you're 60. Ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen, if you guys are only listening to this conversation, I need you to stop what you're doing. find us on YouTube because you need to see how beautiful this woman is. You inspire me that when I'm 60 years old, I'm going to look like this woman has no wrinkles, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness. You give me hope. You give me hope. Okay, I'm sorry. Continue, please.
That's okay. That's okay. I've just been on this path for a while. Um, and that's when I couldn't, everything had to change in my life. And I wasn't listening. I wasn't paying attention. I was ignoring it. I was blocking it. And there were plenty of signs.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't listening. And, when we don't listen, that a lot of times catalyst comes in, whether it's an illness. Sorry. My dog's under my desk. There's an illness. There's, a dad, something happens. You lose a job. We get hit, and it's an opportunity to reflect. The
Yeah.
world got hit in 2020,
Mm-hmm.
but, I feel like we didn't fully
Recover.
recover.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
we
And we
didn't.
didn't fully get it. We didn't fully get it.
Yeah, we didn't. Like a lot of people are still stuck or they still haven't moved on to stepping into yourself, stepping into authenticity, being who you are meant to be. We see online all these people who said COVID changed their lives because they finally stepped into what they've always wanted to be. And
I
oh,
do.
they are inspiring stories because people see that the blessing, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? They see the
Yeah.
blessing of the
Yeah.
sacrifice. They see the blessing of everything that that person had to give up, but they don't see that. You know what I mean? They don't see the struggles that that person went through. They don't see any of that. They only see the blessing. And I think people get stuck with the blessing and think like, oh, it's a hop. Like it's not a hop. It's not a hop. It's a work in progress. It's kind of like you said. It's like once you realize that you have to do it, you step into it, and then all of a sudden, as long as your focus is in that direction, you're literally just gliding along. And as long as your focus is in that direction, you're just going forward. And then as soon as you stop or you turn, it stops. You know what I mean? It's you stop. The situation stops because you have changed your frame of mind. So it's like we need to remember it's what we focus on truly directs our lives. So it's like if your spirit guides are telling you to refocus, 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 goodness gracious, I'm speaking to myself because I low key been,
Listen up.
oh my goodness,
Listen up.
you don't know how many times I've literally heard my spirits yell at me sometimes. You know what I mean? They literally had to scream at me because dreams and messages and everything else wasn't getting to me because I was blocking it. So I absolutely understand when you say when you block and block and block, because when you realize that you can't block no more, you have to submit and you have to obey and you have to do what you are so meant to do because at the end of the day, it's for a greater purpose, right? We really want to step into the greater purpose of all that we can be. So to do that, I believe that we have to truly allow ourselves to accept the things that we didn't even think was possible. Allow the impossible to become possible, right?
Yeah. And, don't limit what you could have or could do or can be.
Yeah.
Leave it open enough for a miracle. And
Mm.
watch where's the energy? Where is the energy going? What's showing up for you? Those are guides that are supporting you and helping you. When you've invited them in, they can do more.
Yeah.
But you'll see signs, numbers. Some spirit guides are masters, some are archangels, some are people who've crossed. Some have people got of our guides are angels. There's a lot of different guides that come in to serve and to help you. And they're serving on the other side.
Yeah.
So when we invite them in and we pay attention, and I ask for signs and I ask for obvious signs because and sometimes I need to see it a few times. But
Yes.
it's and you can play with them. One of the easiest ways to play with your guides, that's so fun, is I call them my parking team. And I
Intrigued.
call my parking guides to give me a spot right up front, right where I'm going. And you'll be amazed how often you find a parking spot right where you want it.
Huh, huh. Well then.
But you got to call them in,
Valet, right?
visualize it, and there's a parking spot. We do it. I do it all the time. And it's not every single time.
Yeah.
I will say it's most of the time.
Mm, I like that. I like that. I think that's interesting. Goodness gracious, Lori. I feel like we can just continue talking now about this for hours on end, but I'm looking at the time and sadly we have to wrap up. But I
So
have to
fast.
ask you, I know, right? It's so fast. So I have to ask you, what can be some lasting words of wisdom that you can leave us off with? Oh my goodness. I mean, even though this whole entire conversation are some lasting words, but what can be some truly some words of wisdom that you can leave us off with?
Just know you're not alone. There is so much support with for you on the other side, and all we have to do is invite it in and pay attention.
Yes. Invite it in. Pay attention and ask for your parking spot.
Play,
Right.
play. You can play through it all and find that joy in it, and it's an amazing thing.
Oh, no, it really is. You have me intrigued because the fact that you were talking about limits and then saying that you played with your spirit guides as if, asking for a parking spot. I mean, it just shows how limited we are, even myself. You know what I mean? Because there's so much that I can do, you know what I mean, that I do know. And it's just, I am limiting myself because of my limited beliefs, you know what I mean? And my own situation. So it's just like, allowing ourselves, not just me, everyone else, because we all have this gift. It's just knowing what it is and accepting it, and allowing it to happen. Yeah. Oh my goodness, Lori. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. If you want
Absolutely.
to know more, please go check out her course. How could you not? How could you not want to go get her free course, free FREE, that spells free. You know what I mean? Free course. Please go check it out because man, having this conversation with her, having this time with her is only just confirming that we all need to just get right, ladies and gentlemen, get right with ourselves and with our spirit guides and really get in tune because we know what's happening and we know how to fix our lives, but we need to step into that. So
We
my
need to
goodness, so
do
we
our
need
part.
exactly we need to
Yeah,
do our part. Oh, so I have our photo on my website, access to her lovely website, so that you can check it out, see all the great things that Lori has to offer the world because she does, and of course to always keep thinking. With that being said, bye.